Good morning, and welcome to this month's edition of Healthy Together Mississippi, third Wednesday Parent Resource Chat. My name is Bettina Campbell, and I am the Social Service Coordinator and Medicaid Assister for CHIP Assister for Oak Hill Regional Community Development Corporation, which is the parent corporation for Healthy Together Mississippi. And joining us today again is our Metrics and Technology Director, Mr. Thomas Robinson. We recognize our Executive Director, Dr. Michael O. Minor, and our Program Director, Sister Lottie Minor. So, our webinars are designed to ensure that we provide current and relevant information and resources that uplift, equip parents and other child care providers with practical tools, timely resources, and faith-rooted encouragement. So we encourage you to share our Healthy Together Mississippi Facebook page and our website, www.healthytogetherms.org. And then we want you to stay tuned for all the exciting new changes that are coming. National Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month is observed annually in March. It's established in 2000 by President Proclamation, and the month is dedicated to raising the awareness about colorectal cancer prevention. It encourages early screenings, and it honors those that are affected by the disease. March is also the National Kidney Month, and it's a time when communities across the country come together to raise awareness about kidney disease. This year's focus is on taking charge of your health and the many factors that go into managing kidney disease. Also, it's National Nutrition Month, and it's held and it focuses attention on the importance of making informed food choices and developing sound eating and physical activity habits. And finally, on this past Sunday was the National Baptist Convention USA's Taste Sunday, which is where the congregations come together to share their recipes, to taste the different recipes, and to just think about possibilities of ways that you can make foods more healthier for our families and for our congregations, because y'all know we're going to eat at church. So we want to make sure that we are doing it as healthy as possible. So also, we want to talk about today children and teens with a chronic kidney disorder. And they have, for many reasons, they can have it. Some are present at the time of birth, and others are developed later on because of complications from other health disorders or conditions. And because it develops so slowly, our children and the parents may not be aware of what's going on until it's more advanced, and so they see the conditions are getting worse. So we want you to pay attention to the changes that are going on with your children, and share with your family doctor any problems or any concerns that you might have, and share them as early as possible. You know, sometimes we think, oh, well, it's not what we think it is. Or we become scared, we see the symptoms and we become afraid that it is what we think it is. And we don't go to the doctor in a timely manner. So we want you, after watching this video that we're going to be showing and talking about it with you, we want you to make sure that you are being more observant, and that when you observe these signs, even if you have some doubt, but you think it might be, we want you to go early to the doctors and get your children and yourself checked. So having said that, I'm going to, in just a minute, Duke is going to start our video for us, but I do want to say this, that because when we're watching something, questions might pop up. I want you to make sure that you have your pencil and your paper, and that you're jotting down the questions that as they come up, because you want to take these questions with you to your doctor's office. So now, will you start our video for us, Mr. Robinson, please? Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Akhila Vasant, Consultant Pediatric Nephrologist at Majumdar Shaw Medical Center. And on the occasion of World Kidney Day, I'm here to talk about chronic kidney disease in children. So what does chronic kidney disease mean? It actually means gradual loss of kidney function. And unfortunately, even with treatment, it does not go away, which means it's a lifelong condition, and it is described in 5 different stages. And eventually, over a period of time, the kidney function declines and it ends in something called as end-stage renal disease, which means to say some blood filtering treatments like dialysis is required, or we require a kidney transplant. So what's the main cause of kidney disease in children? So in children, birth defects, like sometimes absence of the kidneys, or the kidneys are not formed very well, or if some hereditary causes, like some genetic defects, are one of the commonest causes. So what we call as congenital abnormalities of the kidney and the urinary tract. This amounts to around 2/3 of the problems of children with kidney disease. After this, we would think that infections, like infection-related swelling in the kidneys, what we call as glomerulonephritis or HUS, can be one of the reasons for kidney disease, or other reasons like nephrotic syndrome or any other systemic illnesses like diabetes or lupus or other causes are lower down on the list. So how do we actually diagnose kidney disease in children? Until you lose 90% of your kidney function, you do not develop any signs or symptoms of kidney disease, which means to say chronic kidney disease is actually a silent killer. So in children, the main thing to look out for is poor growth. So especially when you take your children for vaccinations, make sure that your children are actually growing well. So polyuria and polydipsia, which means to say drinking more water and passing more urine, could be one of the early signs of chronic kidney disease. The other things are late signs of chronic kidney disease could be tiredness, vomiting, not wanting to eat, or swelling or of the whole body, or passing very little urine. These are all the late signs when you've already reached the stage of dialysis. So in that case, we next come to the question as in which group of children should we actually screen? Because I'm telling you that this is a silent disease. Then should we just screen all children? Maybe not. Maybe we should focus on certain group of children. So say for example, if there is some family history of kidney disease in children, or if say in the pregnancy scans or the antenatal scans there have been some abnormalities which are found, then definitely they should be followed up. Or if your child is a low birth weight baby or a premature baby, or in the newborn period your child has had some acute kidney injury, not only in the newborn period, at any stage in childhood, if there has been acute kidney injury, that definitely needs to be followed up. Or if there has been any blockage in the urinary tract at any point of time, or if your child has had recurrent urinary tract infections with the condition called as vesico-ureteric reflux, which means to say the urine is going back from the bladder back to the kidneys. Or if your child has got some other systemic disease like say lupus or diabetes or hypertension. These are basically the group of children which we would definitely like to screen for kidney disease. What does a doctor do? So I'm telling you that kidney disease is not treatable; it does not go away. So why should we even take to the doctor? So there are certain factors which hasten the progression of chronic kidney disease. So the group of doctors, it's not only a nephrologist. There is a nephrologist, there is a urologist, there is nurses, there's a dietitian, there's a psychologist. There's a whole team. There's a multidisciplinary team who actually takes care of children with chronic kidney disease. There's a dialysis technician, dialysis nurse, and so there's a whole team. Right. So what do we all do? Say, for example, there are some factors which hasten the process of kidney disease. Say, if there is a blockage to the urinary tract, the urologist identifies it and reverses it, and hence retards the progression of chronic kidney disease. So, what does a nephrologist like me do? Say I can detect hypertension, that high blood pressure, and protein leak in the urine. These are the two main factors which hastens the progression of chronic kidney disease. So I can give medicines called as ACE inhibitors or ARBs, which retards the progression of chronic kidney disease, and the children can maintain their own lives with their own kidneys for as long as possible. And not only that, the dietitian can advise the families about a specific diet which needs to be followed according to their blood reports. So that's very important. And I also advise them on how to control all the comorbid factors. Say, for example, anemia, which means to say low hemoglobin, or bone disease, which is one of the complications of chronic kidney disease, or acidosis or high acid levels. So all of these comorbid factors, if we try to give medicines and try to keep them under much control, the child feels much better and can lead a much better life, and hence despite having chronic kidney disease, live a good quality life, as well as the progression of the chronic kidney disease can actually be slowed down. So we advise parents that not to use non-steroidal agents, NSAIDs. And we tell them, not to let their children get dehydrated. So a lot of these, advise not to use any medicines like nephrotoxic agents. So agents which can, harm the kidneys, or any of the native medicines. So we do their blood tests at regular intervals, do the scans at regular intervals. So as I said, when you look at a child with chronic kidney disease, you'll not be able to make out any signs. Only by means of a blood test in terms of creatinine, or by doing a scan, we'll be able to make out any progression of the disease. And hence, these are the small changes which we detect, and we try to see if we can slow down the process in some way. And that is the whole process of frequent, outpatient visits, because many parents have this constant, question, what is the point of going to the, doctors over so many years? Child has not got better, child has not been cured. So one thing they need to understand is there's no cure. We only can keep them under control, and we can prevent, or we can retard, or we can slow down the progression of chronic kidney disease, because at some stage in the future it will, and it will, or there is a high likelihood of it ending up in end-stage renal disease. And children with chronic kidney disease, have their own challenges because they have relationship problems, they have behavioral problems, they have learning difficulties, and it is not very easy. So they have a lot of psychological issues, which is dealt with the psychologists. So it is a whole package which we have to deal with when a child is growing up with chronic kidney disease. I mean, this is about chronic kidney disease, but I would like to leave a message for in general on the event of the World Kidney Day. I would like to leave a message about how to take care of your kidneys, of your child's kidneys. Number one, make sure that they drink plenty of fluids. Make sure that they pass urine at regular intervals. Number two, eat healthy, which means to say fruits and vegetables. Reduce your junk food intake and snacks intake. And let them go out and play, and reduce the time on the gadgets and TV and mobile, because they're just going to pile up on weight. So they definitely need to reduce their weight. So that can happen only with exercise, when they go out and play. So that's very important. And when they fall ill, try not to use medicines like Brufen or Meftal, and try to give them just simple, paracetamol, and do not, self-medicate, or just don't give them medicines without any knowledge. Always consult your doctor. So, and if you think that your child already may have some kidney problem or any other systemic illness, please consult your doctor, and then you might want to get your child's kidney function tested. So these are the things which I would advise, simple things to protect your child's kidney health. Thank you.
So again, I want to state that I am not a physician, and this video is not meant to replace the guidance of your child's doctor. So if you have any questions today that were raised during this video, I hope that you did write them down so that you can make sure that you are sharing any possible signs or symptoms that may your child, or for that matter, you may be displaying, that a doctor can observe and test and answer those questions for you. So if that's the case, I want you to make sure that you make an appointment today so that you can get to the doctor as soon as possible. Because remember, early intervention, we want early intervention. And because this is or can be silent, and you don't know that you have it until you are 90% of your functioning is gone, that could greatly impair your life and your child's life. So again, I'm not a doctor. Go to the doctor. But there is one term that she used that I'd like to make sure that you understand what she meant when she said NSAID. So that's non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, and those are drugs like ibuprofen, naproxen, or aspirin, and these are drugs that are used to reduce pain, reduce inflammation, and reduce fevers. So you don't want to make sure that you are not giving your child, who might possibly already have some kidney damage or may develop kidney damage, by you over medicating them with these types of medications. So you want to make sure that you are giving your child always the proper medication. So when dealing with over-the-counter drugs, make sure that you have talked to your doctor first before you share them with your child. So again, I'm not a physician, and this video was simply to provide information, not take the place of your doctor and your doctor's diagnoses. So every year on March 10th and throughout the month of March, local, state, federal, and national organizations come together to shed light on the impact of HIV and AIDS on women and girls, and to show their support for those at risk of living with HIV. So this year is the 20th year that we've actually had this observance going on. And here at the Hill Hernando and Mid-South churches, we have had for the last 8 years a Women and Girls Health Awareness Conference in honor of Women and Girls HIV/AIDS Awareness Day. And so we wanted to make sure that you are aware, because again, this is another area that you need to be very proactive with in making sure that you and your children are safe and healthy. So today we are going to have with us Mrs. Erica Harris. She's the executive coach and founder of Purposeful Seed. And she states that a purposeful seed helps high achieving women align who they are with how they lead in work, life, and legacy. She specializes in guiding clients through burnout transitions and purpose pivots so that they can lead with clarity, confidence, and joy. Her mission is simple, she says, is to help you come home to yourself and rise brilliantly. And I'm going to say just a little bit more about this young lady, because I have known this young lady forever. She grew up at church at Metropolitan Baptist Church in Flint, Michigan, where I was a member. And she and my daughter became very good friends. And she is like a second daughter to me. And I am so proud of her accomplishments. And I know that she is going to share a lot with us today. And welcome, 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 Erica.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm gonna really try hard to call you Miss Bettina and not Mama Tina, because I consider you for as long as I can imagine, another mother to me. So thank you so much for having me, for the warm introduction, and for those of you who are here. I don't take it for granted when people show, the interest in learning something or being present. So thank you so much for your presence. And today I'm going to share my screen in just a second. I wonder if I could get a sense. Can we use the chat? I'm curious because I don't want to begin using it if that's not okay. But I'm wondering if possible, if we can use the chat. If somebody could let me know that, because that'll have a
Yeah,
impact on how.
yes.
Yes, we can. Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right. So we are talking today. I just appreciate the opportunity on something that, frankly, we all need to work on, I think. And that is focusing on me first. Now, I'm a person of faith, like I'm sure many of you are. What I'm going to say is when I say me first, I do not mean in front of God. I just want to clarify that. But oftentimes, those of us who are servants, who are leaders, who are doing so much for so many other people, we can find ourselves kind of ignoring ourselves, right? And I'm here to make the claim that prioritizing oneself means that everybody wins, including you. So that is really going to be our theme today. And so by using the chat, as we get ready to move forward, I'm wondering if people could give me an answer to this question. I'm curious to know where you get your energy, right? And there are no wrong answers here. Just be honest with yourself. Where do you get your energy? Some of us, I know if you are a person of faith, I know I get mine in prayer and meditation. That always gives me life, and peace. I'm wondering in the chat if someone could tell me where you get your energy. Okay, as Bettina said, helping others, sleep and food. Yes, rest is so, so important. And food, we just learned something about healthy foods, right? For kind of feeding our bodies, but I absolutely get energy from food, like actually physiologically. Some of us may get our energy from exercising, maybe from being around people. That probably very much depends on you and your personality. But I just think it's important that we start with that question, because wherever you get your energy, that's what you should be thinking about when you think about self-care. Some of us think about self-care as like, spa dates. And I see this point about solitude. I love that. Sometimes we get energy out of being out by ourselves, right? I see being outside, working in your grass, on your grass or your lawn, prayer and being around others. Like there's so many ways, but I want you to really think about, where do I get fulfilled? Because when I think about self-care, I think of more than just manicures, pedicures, or going out with my friends. Like it's about wherever I get my energy to pour in something that allows me space to pour out. That's really what we're talking about when I say self-care. So today's intention is really to create a safe space for people to consider the idea that putting yourself first is an unselfish act. Oftentimes, sometimes we can feel guilty when we say, I'm going to do something for me, or in the wisdom that I imagine is in this room, that may not be as much of an issue, but maybe we have had seasons. I know I have 3 children. I often feel like everything they need is first, and what my husband needs, and then at the end of the day, I'm like, maybe I'll do something for myself. Maybe. I'm working on this too, you all. So I want us to think about this idea that putting yourself first is not selfish at all. That it in fact is a calling that we need to do. And let's just talk for a minute about why. Okay. All right. So I came up with this. I'm sorry, I skipped through that. This affirmation. And I wrote it, I believe I was writing it specifically because God was really working on me, kind of working on me, right? And so in doing so, I came up with this affirmation called the Me First affirmation. It's something that for a while I was saying to myself almost every day when I got up. I needed to remind myself that it was okay to put myself first. So I'm just going to read it. And here's what I want you to do in the chat. If you see something or hear something that resonates with you, I want you to put that word or that phrase or whatever in the chat. I want to know what piece of this resonates with you. I also want to know if something you go is like, I'm not sure. I want to know what makes you uncomfortable too, because I'm guessing that that's the work that needs to be worked on. But I'm just going to read and you all are going to listen and think about what resonates with you most. And the affirmation goes, I am my number one priority. I put myself first. Everyone wins when I take care of me. When I honor myself, I honor my ancestors. And so I choose joy. I live in purpose and with intention. Purpose is a choice and sometimes requires sacrifice. But I do not have to be the sacrifice. Instead, I choose me unapologetically. I make plans to practice self-care. I surround myself with people who will encourage me to take care of myself. I love myself. I choose me because I am worthy. All right, so I am curious as I leave this on the screen, I want to know what part of that spoke to you in some kind of way. Maybe it was a word, maybe it was a phrase. You say not being the sacrifice. I always get that. People are struck by this idea that it can be sacrificial, but I don't have to be the sacrifice. That everyone wins when you take care of yourself unapologetically, right? You don't have to apologize for saying, you know what, I need a nap. Or you know what, I need to read a book. I'm good. You all go out and go have a good time. Whatever it is, you don't have to apologize. Everyone wins when you take care of you. It's so important. And sometimes that gets lost in the day-to-day doing. What I'm focusing on here, and I think where God gave this to me, is I want you to focus on who you are, not just what you do. Your being. We are human beings, not human doers. So let's work on who we are. And that has everything to do with taking care of ourselves. So why should we care about ourselves first? Well, a couple of reasons. I've got four reasons here. The first is because you matter, right? That last line I think is so important for anybody who have ever struggled with their worthiness. You matter. I like to tell the young people that I work with when I do this kind of work that they matter because they, in the whole creation of humanity, there is one you, one DNA strand that is you, one story that is you, whatever your name is. And so you matter because if we take that part out, the whole DNA of humanity changes. So God created us because we matter. And I think it's just so important that we remind ourselves that we're worthy. The second thing reason why it's important for us to keep ourselves first is because we have to be full. Now, you notice on the screen, there's an empty cup. And what is the phrase that we typically hear all the time when we think about self-care? People say, you can't pour from an empty cup. Well, it's true. You can't. It's an impossibility. Just like this cup, if I said, give me some of your coffee, there's nothing to give. So it's so important that you stay full. I heard Jan Van Zant say, and I never forgot it, it is important for you to pour from your overflow. When you are pouring out, when you are giving, when you are sacrificing for others or serving or doing whatever it is that you might do, working, whatever, pour from your overflow. That means you have to stay full. And the question about self-care is, what do I need to do to keep myself full so that I can pour from an overflowing place? The two other reasons about why you first is because certainly it is a prerequisite to being able to serve and lead others, right? In order to love others, you have to know I'm worthy of it, right? I cannot serve someone and believe that they're worthy of love if I don't believe I am. Have you ever heard the phrase, hurt people hurt people? So if we are serving ourselves, if we are wounded or if we are tired or whatever it might is, it's going to surface as we try to love other people. So it's so important that we take care of ourselves. And then finally, it's important because everybody wins. When I take care of me, everybody wins. I think about this relative to my kids. When mama has a nap and wakes up and I have some energy, you all are going to get the best of me. You're going to get the best food. When you ask for something, I'm going to think through, like, how can we make it happen, as opposed to, girl, I'm tired, I can't do this, right? Everybody wins when I'm at my best. So it's not actually selfish. I might say it's a mandate that you keep yourself well so that you can serve others if that's what you choose to do, or this so that you can just continue to serve yourself because you are worthy of that as well. All right. So it's just really important that we remember that we are worthy of it, that we matter, that we have to stay full, that we have to love ourselves so that we can love others, and remember that it's a win-win for everybody when we do. All right. So here's the question. I'm going to ask this. I'm going to read this in a second, but tell me, why is it so hard sometimes to take care of yourself? I'm going to let you all think about this one for a second. Why is it so hard? Because sometimes I think we know things intellectually, but we don't necessarily do them. Why is it so hard to take care of yourself first? Feel free to come and put it in the chat. What do you think? Why is it so hard? Let's see. We're thinking deeply. As you all think, I often think that the reason is because we often have become so conditioned to put others first, right? Patricia says caring for others first. Yeah, we're told that it's wrong sometimes, right? We're told it's selfish from very young. Oh, don't think about you, just do for everybody else, right? And when you say, I want to do something for yourself, sometimes you get pushback because somebody wants something from you, right? The needs of others seem to be a priority or obligation, right? Like, what you need is more important than me. But that's like saying that, your humanity is more than my humanity. That's not true. I don't have to downgrade you to uplift me, right? But we often do that, right? And we are told, unfortunately, we're conditioned, I think, to say family comes first. Well, family comes first, but I'm family too. And we can feel guilty. I like that. That's just an honest, statement, that sometimes we just feel guilty. We feel bad because we might need to do something for ourselves. But, when I was a student, I studied political science when I was in college. And I'm going to acknowledge this. This might sound a little bit political as I'm reading Audre Lorde here, but I want you to think about it. This is just who Erica is, right? It can be difficult, I think, often because the world tells us not to do this. Somebody said that we're told not to. We are told it is wrong. It is an absolute counter narrative. It's counter to what we are told to take care of ourselves, especially, I'm going to say, especially sometimes for minorities, for women of color, for, people who have been in a minority group. We have been told, no, everybody else first. And so Audre Lorde says here that caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It's self-preservation. It's necessary. And that it is really a form, in some ways, of political warfare. Think of the woman during women's suffrage who decided, you know what? No, I'm not going to go get your dinner. I'm going to go do something for me. At some point in time, that was a no-no. That's not what women did. And now we've grown to a place where now we can, or we can say, you know what, honey, I'm kind of tired. Can you handle dinner? Right? Whatever it is that we need to do as women, as men, as people of color, is so important that we realize that it is necessary to preserve ourselves. It is absolutely necessary, because if we don't do it, who will? Now, as a person of faith, I'm going to say this, because people have said, like, I've been told not to. Even sometimes in the church, I've been told not to. So I'm going to read this and you tell me what you think. Jesus, even Jesus, did not do it all. Jesus didn't meet every need. He left people waiting in line to be healed. He left one town to go preach to the other. He hid away to pray. He got tired. He never interacted with the vast majority of people on the planet. In fact, he spent 30 years, just 30 years in training and then 3 years in ministry. He did not try to do it all. And yet, this is my favorite part, he did everything God asked him to do. That was from a book by Kevin DeYoung called Crazy Busy, and this idea of not trying to pick up everything. I want to know, I see a wow. I thank you for that. I see the wow, but I want you to think about what that means. While we're always trying to do everything, Jesus himself said, go sit down somewhere. And he modeled that for us. I'm pausing because I want you to think about what that means for your own life. If Jesus modeled for us, you don't have to do it all. Then why are we? He had 12 disciples to do some of this work, right? It wasn't just him. He taught people what he was trying to share with the world so that they could go over and be, right? Can bring people into the kingdom. He knew he wasn't going to be around forever to do it. So he got other people. He was a master delegator. He did the things that only he could do. And then he taught other people to do the things that he knew he wasn't supposed to do. He didn't do it all. And if there are any people out here who are parents, grandparents, or particularly maybe moms, and maybe this is my own mom guilt, this is me. I do it all. And my husband is constantly telling me they can do the dishes. Just show them how to do it. They can fold the clothes, right? And trying to get me to remember that I don't have to do it all. I think that's a tremendous gift and one that I really I'm trying to hold on to. All right. So as a reminder, I want you to keep in mind that it is just not selfish to take care of yourself. I personally think it's kind of selfish to not do so, because when you are not at your best, you cannot be your best. So what I want you to do next, and these are like, this is where Erica moves into coaching. I'm going to close down in just a second. Is for you to think about, what are some goals for yourself around self-care? What can you do? Self-care happens in many different ways. It can be physical, it can be mental, spiritual, if you pray, if you meditate, you spend the quiet time, or it can be emotional. So I want you just for a second, if you've got I know you got your pen and paper from earlier, maybe write down one in each one of these areas that might be something that you want to work on. You don't have to do them all at once, but maybe physical is going to the gym or taking a walk as the weather breaks. I'm in Chicago, so I got to wait a little longer. Maybe mental is just breathing, right? And thinking about being aware of my mental health. Maybe spiritual is going and being at a church or at a congregation or at a synagogue, like doing something spiritual that kind of edifies my spirit and my soul. What would it be also emotionally to take care of yourself? And if you are brave enough to put any answer in the chat, we would love to see it. What is it that we could work on around our self-care? And I say if you're brave enough only because we don't have to always share what it is that we're working on. You don't always have to. We can choose to, but we don't always have to. All right. Trying to see in the chat if anybody can share, if anyone shared. Ooh, somebody said declining calls from people that drain me. Can I get an amen? You know you don't want to pick up that call from whoever it might be, because what is it going to be? It's going to be draining for you. Take all of your energy, all of your time. Now you get off the call, you have no energy for you or your others, your loved ones, and you don't have what you need to go pour in. I heard also Iyanla Vanzant say, when you give to someone else what it is that you know you needed, you make them a thief. You let them steal your joy, your time, your energy, right? So amen to that. I see that. That's a really awesome one. Say no. The physical piece. And sometimes it can be simple. I've learned to start to get up, as I get older and hit 50, I got to stretch in the morning. But that's something I do for me before I do anything else. I stretch and I read a Bible verse in the morning. That's one of my self-care pieces. Somebody else said, not taking on people at church complaints. Yes, I don't have to take your energy. I can hear it. I don't have to receive it, right? I don't have to make that. Somebody told me like feelings are facts. They can be facts, but they can be data points. They don't have to dictate how I engage. So I don't have to take on your energy because you get it. That's all protecting self. Those are all really good. Thank you for sharing that for those of you who put things in the chat. I also want to encourage you to do daily gratitude in the morning if you don't already. It is so easy to get caught up in all of the things in the world that are bad. Can anybody say amen? There's a lot of things in the world right now that aren't good. They make you feel uncomfortable. They make you feel like, I don't know what's about to happen. Even for the believer, we can kind of get caught up in some of the chaos. I want to remind you that gratitude and praise is a great response to your anxiety. So give gratitude in the morning. Think about what you're thankful for. Thinking about how you're going to, my husband likes to say to my kids when they walk out the door, make it a great day. It may not be great unless you're intentional. So make it a great day. What are you looking forward to? Because it's so easy to go down the rabbit hole of what's not working well. So what do you look forward to? If you do that every day, you start to focus on the positive things will come from it. And realize that you can do those daily affirmations. Remind yourself, I am loved, I am capable, I am enough, I am worthy. We could keep going on with the I am statements, but we are all of those things. So sometimes we have to remind ourselves. All right. And this is just a checklist, because what I wanted people to know is that self-care can be simple, right? Sometimes it's not like this deep stuff. Sometimes it's just like, you know what? I didn't feel like putting on this, that, and the other today. So I wore something comfortable and it felt good. I paid attention to myself and responded accordingly, right? In the middle of a difficult situation, I chose to smile, and that made me feel bad. Or I replaced a bad thought with a good one. Or as somebody just said, I didn't pick up that phone and let somebody take my energy. Nope, I'm not doing it. All those things are things that we can do daily. And they're small. They're small little things that can change our day and that help us pour into ourselves so that we have what we need to be able to pour out. So with that, I'm sorry. These were, I was going to have some self-care. You already gave me some self-care ideas to cure a bad day, whatever those might be, maybe physical, mental, spiritual, emotional. Again, think about what those things are. And I actually have a special gift to give to anyone who is interested. But first, I want to ask you, before we get off here, what are you going to commit to? How are you going to put yourself first? Just one thing in the chat, or even just think it. I'm going to do X to put myself first. I'm going to do X to put myself first. And I'm thinking, just be real intentional about that is so that you can actually accomplish it. Don't make it so big that it's like, oh, I'm never going to go to the gym 5 times a week. Say 1 time a week if you haven't been started, right? Whatever it might be, think about what you're going to do to put yourself in the forefront. All right, so I have a special gift that I'm going to put in the chat for anybody who might be interested in actually writing these things down, putting it in a journal. I have an electronic journal that anyone who wants it can get. I'm going to come off of share. Miss Bettina is going to ask me some questions, but I'm going to put something in the chat for a quick second, just as my gift to anyone who is out there today. I thank you for listening.
Oh,
All right.
I'm waiting for you to put that in the chat.
Yep. Okay. All right. I'm pulling it in right now. Where is it? There you go. Oh, that was not to you. That was to everybody. Did that go to everybody?
Yes,
Okay.
wonderful. Okay, well, it's been a thought-provoking presentation. Thank you so much for being here with us today. So what I want to ask you is just a few questions before we get into the the general questions. I
Mhm.
will. So I wanted to know, first of all, from your perspective, Erica, why do we often treat our professional output as more precious than our physical and mental health or well-being?
Yeah, it's such a good question. I think we are way more into in a capitalistic kind of society that is really functions based on productivity. It's always about what we produce, what we do, right? What we put out into the world, that's what matters. If you do more, you're seen as bigger, better, whatever. Um, and so that doesn't have us focused as much on the pouring in, right? And so I think what we have to do is see it as productive to pour into ourselves. You have to see it in a different way. It actually does produce something when I do something for myself. It produces joy. It produces, vitality and energy and positive outlook. That means something, right? It's not necessarily the tangible thing. It's not the product. It's not, but the things that you can feel, like often the professional outcomes, those are things people can touch. The things that are intangible are often harder for us to kind of focus on. And I think people don't they internalize, but they don't necessarily tell people, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm taking care of myself. It's a very private experience because they may be concerned about how people will receive that. Right. So, but I think if everyone wins when I pour into myself, it's okay for me to do so and to be more public about it.
So you kind of answered my next question a little. I want to just expound on is how do we change that paradigm? It's
Mm-hmm.
so easy to say what we don't, but how can we change that paradigm?
Yeah. And I think I tried to, give a couple of ideas about why we don't. It's hard to because we've been conditioned to not, right? But I think the way that we do it is that we accept that we're worthy of it. And then, we surround ourselves with people who are going to encourage us in it, right? So don't call the friend that you know is going to be Debbie Downer when you're having a moment. Call the one who's going to lift you up, right? And lean into people who do see it as important. I like to call my friends who are better at self-care when I'm not, because they will call me out. And they will say like, "Hey, Erica, what are you doing for yourself?" Or they'll say, "How are you?" And I'll tell them about the kids, and they're like, That's not what I asked you. I asked how you were doing." Right. So that's the friend that I know that I need to call more often and check in with and surround myself with. So surrounding yourself with people who are going to be supportive of it, and then just being really, really intentional about it. This is why you write it down. Write the vision, make it plain. Like I believe that when we write it, it means something. It means it's real in the earth. And so we have to, write it down and intentionally say, well, these are my goals, and check in on them, to say, if I say I'm going to go to the gym, did I do that this week? If not, I'm not going to beat myself up or be judgmental. What am I going to do differently next week? Right. So the intention, which is why I created the journal, is for people to really write it down so they can hold themselves accountable. And then if you surround yourself with people who are going to say, "Hey, what about that journal? How are you doing with that?" Then you have another level of accountability that also works.
It sounds like what you're saying too is that it's something that you have to do continually.
Mm-hmm.
You said be intentional about it because sometimes we have the intentions of doing something,
Right.
and we get started, and then life gets in the way, and we forget about it, and next thing you know, we're doing that same old thing. So when we slip up, intentionally pull ourselves back to making sure that we are putting ourselves first and we are getting the rest that we deserve, because we do a lot of times we are engaged in activities or events or something where we do a lot of positive affirmations, but once we walk out the door we forget that affirmation,
It all
and
goes
so
out the same
it's
way with Bible verses.
yes.
We know it, we can say it, but there's a difference between knowing it and being it. So you have to not only know it but then you have to believe it, and then you have to actually actualize it. And
Wonderful.
that full loop is what allows you, and you got to do it every day, and that's what makes it hard. But if you fall off, what I have learned is fall off and just get back up, right? Fall down and get back up. Like, you know, there's no judgment. Perfection is not the goal. Consistency is the goal. So don't let a day or two or a week or a month even kind of say, okay, I can get back to it because I know I'm better when I do so.
Wonderful. So now my final question is, earlier I mentioned March 10th being National Women and Girls HIV/AIDS Awareness Day.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain a bit of how hashtag me first relates?
Yeah. So I heard you say earlier, when we were talking about HIV, but also about the kidney failure and things like that, people are fearful of the knowing. And I will say in my own personal experience, I'm a breast cancer survivor. I was scared. I felt something and I was scared to go get it checked out. I was scared to put myself first because I was scared of what I would hear. But that wait cost me greatly. I went from what may have been stage 1 to stage 3 because I waited. And I think, the same is true with any illness, is right. If you don't, but I wish I had loved myself enough to say, girl, like, check this out because you matter. Yes, the kids have to do all of the things, but go check that out. And if you aren't here, right? If something is wrong and you're not here, you can't take care of them anyway. That's what got me to actually go. So I think that what we have to do is remind ourselves that if I take care of me, right, other people will benefit, but I'm worth that, right? I am worth the doctor visit. I'm worth, and no matter even if I have an illness, I'm still worthy of taking care of myself. And I had to do that through chemo and surgery and radiation and all of the things, as would a person who has, HIV. It's the constant care for self so that I can stay and remain healthy. And there's so many different examples of people who have been able to do that and live with that disease and still live a beautiful and prosperous life. But it has to, as you said, it's got to be intentional and on purpose.
It has to be intentional and all purpose. And I'm going to step back a moment from the treatment and say, also taking care of me means that I'm going to do the things that I need to do to practice prevention. And I'm going to find out, I'm going to get that knowledge, and I'm going to use that knowledge not to just share it with someone else, which I would do, but to apply it to my life, to be honest about what behaviors and what attitudes that I have that may be putting me at risk. And I really like the way that you say write it down, write the vision, make it plain.
That's right.
And then part of making that plain and writing that vision is making a plan. How did I do this in the past? Did that work? Well, no, but so what can I do in the future? Why didn't it work? How can I make it work for me now? Or how can I be honest with myself and say, that's just altogether not going to work for me. So I need to do this over here and then do that. So, so it's been, like I said earlier, it's been a thought-provoking presentation. And again, thank you so much. And we will make sure that we leave time for people to ask you questions. But in discussing in this discussion, I wanted to end by posing another thought-provoking question to our listeners. And that is, if the people who are looking up to you, such as your children, your siblings, your colleagues, your church friends, whoever, if they mirrored your exact habits of self-neglect, would you be proud of the life that you've modeled for them, or would you be worried about them? So, if you are, again, make sure that you share this with other people, but I want to also make sure that those on Zoom, that put your answer. If you have questions or comments, that you can put it in the chat. If you're on Facebook, please put it in your share in your comment section, and we will make sure that those questions get asked for you. So we're ready for questions or comments. If you're on Zoom, you may also open up your mic and verbalize your comments.
Sis Bettina?
Yes.
Hey, I don't have a question, just have a comment. What I've heard of this call has been absolutely fabulous. I was glad I was able to jump on. Thank you, Miss Erica, for being here.
Sure, thank you.
And that was our program coordinator, Lottie Minor.
All right,
So
thank
that
you, Ms.
high
Lottie.
praise
I love
indeed.
that.
Yes, thank
I
you.
appreciate it. There's a question.
Question says, in a village full of takers, I'm afraid that saying no will cost me my village.
Okay. What is a good way to handle this? So that's such a good question, because isn't that really some of the reason why we don't say no, is because we're afraid of the loss that might come with it. But here's what I would encourage you to think about is, what is the loss to me if I say yes? Right? Because most of the time we're thinking about other people's no, or their loss, or their response. But if I say yes, what is the cost to me? And if that cost to me is too great, I should probably say no. And if that means that you can't be in my village before, or you choose to not be, you probably weren't supposed to be in my village anyway. Right? Because at least I'll speak for myself, for the person who wrote that. Like, I don't want to be in a village with somebody where it's not to some degree reciprocal. Right? Where you don't want what's good for me and I don't want what's good for you. And that's hard, right? Because sometimes it means we have to create some boundaries, right? And it doesn't mean that I can't love you, but if our love is only dependent on me only serving you, but I can't take care of myself, that one-sided relationship is problematic. So think about the cost, and the way to handle it is to say, you know what, I might really, I see why you might be asking me for this or need that. I can't do it now. Maybe offer another option. Give them other ideas of either who could do it, maybe somebody else in the network can do it, or, maybe there's another way that they might be able to do it themselves, or say, I can't do it now. I'd be willing to do it in 2 weeks. Right? Because sometimes it's like in this season right now, I'm tired. So I have to say no. Maybe there's a way to do it later, but don't give up what is necessary for you. Again, when you give away to someone what it is that you need, you make them a thief. And so rather than do that, do what you need first and allow them to respond accordingly. You're not responsible for their response. You're only responsible for yours.
Let me add just a little bit to that. What I've learned too, Erica, is that to ask myself, why am I going to do it?
Mm.
And if I'm doing it simply because I'm trying to show you that that's the way that I want to be treated, forget it, because it's not going to work. They will stay, your village will stay there as long as you are doing, because that's what the whole thing is. You're giving up yourself for them. And as long as you're doing that, they're going to be happy with that. But if you're doing it because then so you shouldn't do it for that reason. Mm-hmm. But if you're doing it because it's something that you truly want to do, then do it. But explain to them that you're doing it. I'm doing it this time because I want to do it and I have time to do it. Next time I might not want to do it, or I might not have time. Mm-hmm. And as Erica said, if it's not a reciprocal relationship, then maybe you need to ask yourself, what are you truly getting out of that relationship that allows you to stay in it? Mm-hmm. And then begin to change those things. Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's a really good question.
So it was, and I'm looking at, and there are a lot of good comments too. So I'm looking at the time too, and unfortunately, because we are coming up on the 12 o'clock, and we want to give people, be respectful of people's time, I'm going to again, thank you for being here with us. And I want to remind everybody that self-care is important because it directly affects how our body handles stress, how our immune system functions well, and how effectively we show up for other people. So can't show up for everybody else if I'm not showing up first for myself, as Erica has said. So some friendly reminders. Ask Mary and Pat Zoom webinar will be 6 p.m. Monday, March 30th. Let's Let's Talk Real Estate with Area Mays. Maybe I said 11 a.m. I have Thursday, March 25th. If that's not correct, do please put in the chat when it is. And then finally, I wanted to let you know that next third Wednesday Parent Resource Chat webinar will be held on Wednesday, April the 15th, and in support of April's Health Observances and Minority Health Month, we're going to focus on autism awareness. Also, I want to make you please to join us and encourage your family and friends to join us, because we'll be sharing some wonderful information and resources, and knowledge and resources is what we all need in order to live a better life. And so you may learn more about us at our website, www.healthytogethermississippi.org. And once again, we acknowledge our Executive Director, Dr. Michael O. Minor, and our Program Director, Lottie Minor. This has been a production of Oak Hill Regional Community Development Corporation, empowering parents and strengthening families in the Mid-South region and throughout the state of Mississippi. For those of you who are on Facebook or YouTube, I want to wish you a happy day, and you continue to have a blessed day. And thank you so very much for joining us. For those of you who are on Zoom, we ask you to stay around for a few minutes. And if you have other questions or more questions or comments for Sister Harris, you may make them at that time. And have a blessed day.